It's like, are we already live? Yay, we're here.
You're live.
Welcome, everyone.
Everybody behave yourself. Oh, wait. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, we were supposed to tell you that, Stacey.
This is us telling you.
Welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday afternoon. We have a special guest today, if you can't tell. And
Wonderful.
the
one
only.
and only.
And you teach
Stacey,
Wait.
11th grade girls.
11th grade girls. Okay, so shout out to our 11th grade girls out there. Hopefully, I know last time we had several, and so yeah. Well, the icebreaker today is
Drop it on us.
if you could only shop at one clothing store, which one would it be?
You're honestly guess you get to answer first.
One, does it have to be just a clothing store?
No, just like one
that's
store that
easy.
you could get all your clothes from. That you could only get clothes. Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, I thought that.
Bam.
I'm like, should we make it have to be in person?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's gotta be
so
like
if it was
not
in-
online. Not
okay,
online.
if it
No
was-
Shein, girls.
No Temu?
No Shein.
Oh, man, you should have seen the Temu leggings that I ordered at Christmas time when I was on pain meds. Woo! I'll have to bust those out next year.
You got to.
That's awesome.
In-person store. I'm an old lady. This is going to age me.
Okay.
I can't say
Banana
it.
Republic?
No, Talbot's.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But this is
And the
Talbot's.
coffee. Yeah. You're always styling.
I was gonna say,
Stacey's always
These are
styling.
These are
Some things
Talbot's.
from
I mean, you know, but listen, you do got to be
Do you go
careful.
to Foley?
No, I go right here.
Oh,
They know
There's
me by
one
name.
by like the Culvers.
They know me by name.
Okay. Got it.
Hey, you know
But
what?
I-
You've got a relationship built.
But I've sold like 3 houses to the people that work in there.
There you go.
So Craig's
Yeah.
like, that's okay. Go ahead and keep shopping.
You can shop as much as you want.
Building those relationships.
But if
Okay.
I was in high school,
Okay, while you're thinking of it, I'm gonna read some of these. Okay, yeah, someone originally said Amazon, Tilly's, Target, Dillard's, PacSun, another Tilly's,
I like
Walmart.
the hot
Okay,
The
okay.
Loft.
Walmart has been popping off
Walmart
recently.
has been.
okay,
The
the
Loft.
loft.
Box
Bam.
lunch. I have never been. I think I have been there once when I was in high
Yeah.
school. Walmart has been good recently. Yes, Walmart, Old Navy. Okay. Those are
These
those are
kind of
good
like
ones.
brought up some ones I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I don't ever
Say
even.
it.
Oh, Marshalls. Hands down, Marshalls. Yeah, why didn't I think of that before? I love Marshalls. You don't like Marshalls?
I don't. Yeah. You know
She's
why?
like, that's for poor people.
No, not at all. Not
She
at all.
shops at the Talbots.
I'm so aging myself. No, because you got to dig.
You do.
I ain't
You
got
have to.
time to dig. You guys
Mm.
probably have more time to dig.
My budget tells me I have to take.
Because if I'm going in like for a white shirt,
Yeah, you got
True,
it.
there's-
You can't
yeah.
just go to the white shirt.
Or sometimes they just don't have any.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just whatever.
It's
in there.
listen, Marshalls and Ross, that's like a time warp. Because
Yeah.
you get in there, you just
It's
start.
true.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ah.
Mallory said Plato's Closet. That is a good one.
Yeah, that is good.
The one in Mobile is so good.
Oh, Mallory's from my class.
I know.
She's
We love
so
Mallory.
Great. She's
Hey.
so great.
I wish I could thrift shop well. Oh, talent for thrift shopping. Can you give us some thrift? No, she's not a thrift shopper,
I saw
obviously.
it.
Listen, I take my
That's
stuff.
digging too.
And you know what? I'll be thrifting some Talbot stuff too.
Oh yeah, girl. You'd be like, "Thank you, Miss Stacy. Appreciate that." Yeah. No, we actually talked about in our class about going to the thrift store and drawing names, and then we all have to go to dinner like that.
I think you should.
That would be such a fun
Like
event.
if I draw your name, then I have to dress you.
and then
Has
go
to
dinner.
be gender appropriate, so you don't get to identify as anything but your own. And then you got to go to dinner like that.
That's a great event idea.
I think that's hilarious.
Can I come to this 11th grade
Yeah.
girls event?
Yes,
Can we
Okay,
be
cool.
special guests?
I think that's going to be our event.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Okay, Liz, your answer.
I would probably say Target.
Yeah, Target's good.
Only, but
Target's
like
too
I could
woke for
only.
me. I can't
It is
do
very
it.
woke.
Shut- I
can't do
know,
it.
controversial.
I can't do it.
I had another. I don't remember. Shopping, I feel like as a whole, it's just got everything. But I can thrift some good things.
But you would only be able to choose one thrift store if this in our scenario
America's
here.
Point thrift store. That would be it.
Absolutely.
America's.
America's.
Yeah,
Market-
there is one. Or Marcus Point. Yep.
That's what we were saying. Marcus
That's-
Point. There was lots of stuff there.
I was thinking like
We
I don't
support
live over
Marcus
here,
Marcus.
so there's one over there that I can
import
support.
one.
But
Cool. Well, that was fun. Hopefully, we don't ever have to choose just one store to shop for clothes from. Did we get anyone else?
10th grade girls did it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's very cool.
Emmeline said that was embarrassing.
Yeah, totally embarrassing.
You're like, do not recommend.
Oh, went to the
Dillard's.
mall too, not just sit down at a restaurant and walk
They're
around
like,
at a mall.
Let me help you
They're
out.
like, hi.
All the
Come
sales
in here,
people, yeah.
please.
All the sales associates are like, come here.
Yeah.
We got some stuff to show you.
Let me show you.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, cool. Well, welcome to the second session. Today, we've got a lot on the agenda. We are first going to learn how do we study the Bible, right? So we talk about mentoring other people, but last week we talked about how important it is that we ourselves study the Bible, because teaching someone doesn't necessarily mean that we are growing ourselves. It can definitely help us grow, though. And so Miss Stacy's going to teach us a specific method for that. And then we're also going to talk about what is the mentorship challenge. So like what's going to be required for you to complete the challenge. And then at the very end, you're going to find out who your mentor or who your mentee is.
Woo.
And then,
Drum roll, please.
yeah, then it'll be a big finale and we'll get going on the mentorship challenge. So Miss Stacy, you want to take it away?
Yeah,
Anything
take
else
it
we've
away.
learned? All right.
Okay, so I did this with my 11th grade girls, and this is actually called the James method. So I have this like really, I think we like cute little books, and you got to get your colored pens. I didn't bring all my colored pens, but so you got to get your cute little book. But you can, I'm not paid by these people.
You haven't sold a house to
I
these
haven't
people
sold a
yet?
house
Okay.
to these people yet. So, but if you, it's www.thejamesmethod.com. So thejamesmethod.com. That's it. And you can, there's all kinds of books that you can use. I was like, oh, this is so pretty. It's like pink and linen. But the reality is it just kind of gets dirty the more that you use it, but that's the way it goes.
Yep.
So I'm going to show you, we're going to do this one, but I'm going to show you how fun this is when you have like a bunch of colored pens, because you get to, just change it up. So it makes it fun. I think for girls, we kind of like that.
Yeah,
we like things
for
to look cute and nice. Guys, it's just happy that they can read their writing.
Yeah.
So,
Did Michael just laugh in the office?
there might've been a little chuckle back there.
We made Michael laugh.
That's why they do it like on an iPad and stuff. But girls, we like it to be pretty.
Right.
So this is what I did. I think that like when you have your Bible, and I have the study Bible, which, is really heavy. So if you want to have a big, heavy Bible and look very spiritual, it's a great way to do it. But if none of the pages are ruffled, then, you haven't been in it. So, I started with that, but really like to dig into God's word, this has been transformational for me. And so what I did is I had like a little devotional. It was a Lisa Turkhurst. It was unglued. I just happened to have it on the shelf. I pulled it out, and then she gave a verse. And so you read it. Well, like those two little paragraphs wasn't really enough. So then I started taking that verse, and that's how I started picking out the verse that I wanted to. Because, it's like, what are you going to do? Just go,
Yeah.
And then when we did, what did we do in the fall? We did apologetics. Apologetics.
Yeah, apologetics.
Anyone remember that?
That was rough. So I was like, okay, Lord, I'm going to take the verse that they gave us, and I'm going to, before I get into all that, I'm going to take it and I'm going to break it down with this method and then see how we do. So I've already done this, but I'm going to explain to you. So I've got Psalms 139, 13 through 14. So, you can get this template, but you can see I just wrote, it's backwards. I just wrote that at the top, Psalms 139, 13 and 14. So that happened to be the verse that there was. So this is what the verse says. It says, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well." So a side note, just being vulnerable. When my mom got pregnant with me, it was a little bit of an accident. And without going into all the details, my dad really pushed my mom to get an abortion. And that obviously didn't happen. But when I read this, I think about the fact that, when we were in our mother's womb, God was literally forming us. It says knitting together. I don't know if you've ever tried to knit, but it's time consuming. It's one at a time. And God was growing me. God was growing you guys in your mother's womb. And, he formed my innermost parts, right? So this speaks to me. So this is how this method works. So they have this as like right here where you're going to, it's backwards. It's like a mirror. So right here, you're going to write the verse. Okay. So right here is where you just write out the verse pretty easy. Okay. And again, with the jamesmethod.com, you can get these templates, you can get the books, and it's already there for you. Okay. So write it out. There's no big secret to writing whatever translation that you have.
Take a picture and put it in the chat.
And then you just circle, or, I squared up words that I thought, not that I didn't know, but keywords. Okay. So the keywords that I put, the first one was formed. Okay. So for you were formed. So I circle that. Okay. And if you're being all colorful and cute, you can take and, put one color for that. Then the next word I did was knitted. And then the next one I did was fearfully. So you might put together, you might put praise. I mean, whatever, there's no right or wrong way. That's the nice part about this. So anyway, then, and when I first started doing this, I committed, I said, okay, I am not going to look at my phone until I do my Bible study. So
in the morning time?
In the morning.
Okay.
So like I get up and I would go downstairs and I would open my Bible. So, I mean, obviously you can take your phone and you can say, what is the whatever. So I would do, hey, Alexa, what's the definition of formed? And then I would write it down.
Yeah.
I've advanced a little bit more and I'm allowing myself to look it up on the thing. So anyway, so let me just tell you, like for form, this is what I put. And again, it is, it's going to be personal for you, but it says to construct or shape something. So it's shaping. So the word formed, when you break that down, it means, to construct or to shape something. So when you think that in context with the verse, all right. And then knitted, the definition is a process that involves materials being woven together. So you think about that in your mother's womb and you're being knit together. God is taking the skin and your heart and the veins and all the stuff. I was a math teacher, not a science teacher. So all the stuff.
For grade science.
Right. Yeah. So, but God is forming us and he's knitting. So when you think about somebody knitting, that's what God was doing as we were in the womb. And then fearfully is just very, very much. Fearfully is, it was really on purpose. And then I did wonderfully, a describing word used to express admiration and excitement.
Wow.
And then the last one that I did was soul, which is the immaterial aspect of a person that lives after death. Okay. So when you put all that together, it gives you some context. Sometimes there's words that we know the words, but when you really break it down, the more you can break it down, the more you have some understanding and some clarity that comes. So then from there, the next section is the context. So the context, what I do in my study Bible is go to the front of the chapter and it will give you, let me get to the front of Psalms. It will tell you like, what's the theme? Who's the author? This is my ESV and it's large print too because I'm old. But it will give you the theme, right? It will give you the author. It will give you some historical background. And I don't know about you, but I kind of want to know like, what is the historical background? I jones out on that. Like, that's fun to me. And so for this, like the theme, it says the Hebrew label for Psalms praises may have originally reflected the idea readily found today that adoration and thanks to God are primary acts of worship, but it would be better to learn from a title of the entire Psalter. Anyway, it goes on and on and on. A lot of times when we're in our Bible, we don't, if you have a study Bible, if you're really studying it, you might pick up, but there's pages upon pages of that. So then, okay, well, David is writing he's the author of this. And then I just put, it talks about what's the purpose, the audience, the date. A lot of times they'll give you the date. So this is what I put. David is writing about God's intimate knowledge of his people. In these verses, it's pointed out that God has had and has intimate knowledge while we were still in the womb. Mm-hmm. So while we were still being formed in our mother's womb, God knew everything. Yeah. It's literally like he shaped us, he made us, and you are your own little person, mm-hmm. Before we were ever, mm-hmm. And each baby has their purpose. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty, and it's on purpose. Mm-hmm. A lot of this, when abortion and things like that come up, this is one of those things where it's like, listen, whatever the circumstances, God has a plan. God has a reason for that baby and for whatever he has designed for them. Right. Then it goes into translation. So you can pull out, a lot of times I like to do the Message because it like breaks it way down.
True. Yeah.
Right. Because it's just trying to it's not like we're going and studying, or the opposite. Maybe you go into King James, or maybe you do, Bible Gateway has like 47,000 different versions. You put it in.
That's crazy.
No, but I think it's literally about 50 that you can type in. So I think the Message is funny because it literally breaks it down to this very common. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so then you just pick one translation, maybe two, rewrite. This was a long verse, so I just did one.
Cool.
And then at the top, and again, of course, you're changing colors every single time because, and you got it all, it's got to all match and everything. So then in your Bible, you have all these cross references, right? So for Psalms 139, verses 13 and 14, it will have a cross reference. So for this, let's see, it has Deuteronomy 32:6. So when you look and you go, okay, what is that? What is that cross reference? So that's where you're going to put write down some of those key verses. So what it does is it takes this verse, cross references it, just like this morning.
I was going to say that
with Craig.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Craig's he's a Bible scholar. He probably knew that. I didn't know that. Right. But when you go to look, there is a cross reference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's taking one part of the Bible and connecting it to another part.
And it opens up so much more.
Exactly. So this Deuteronomy 32:6, do you thus repay the Lord, you foolish and senseless people? Is it not he who faltered, who created you, who established you? Mm-hmm. Right? So you can see how that ties in. Yeah. And then the other one, Job 10:11, you clothed me with the skin and flesh and knit me together with the bones and sinew. Yeah. So it's just taking God's word and making it relevant, different passages. And sometimes you can go down rabbit trails, sometimes, it's a matter of, well, that makes sense that would cross-reference to this. Mm-hmm. Now this is where it gets fun, I think, because there's a part that says a view of God and then view of mankind. All right. And so when I do the view of God, this is going to sound terrible. I make myself like I was God. Okay. But if I was God telling me about this verse, what would God really say? And so for this one, I put, God loves you and has been intimately involved in every aspect of our lives, especially when we're in our mother's wombs. So you think about God, when I think the view of God and he is completely interested and involved in my life from the moment of conception, that's powerful. Mm-hmm. And it's not like a conveyor belt of, okay, baby, this, we're going to get red hair.
That makes me think of Boss Baby.
Boss Baby. Yeah. It's not like, okay, brown, black, blonde.
Right.
Brown, black, blonde. He was like, no, Elizabeth, this is what you're going to be. And this is going to be my purpose for you. And it's different from Stephanie's and it's different from mine. And he is intimately involved in us. So then you flip over to view of man, okay, or self. And this is where, to me, this is where things start to like go, like the aha moment comes. So I said, if the creator of the universe created us and knows us, shouldn't we be reverent to him, giving him honor and praise, and not be so hard on ourselves?
So would it be correct to say that when we're doing this section, we're kind of asking, like, what does this verse tell us about God, and what does this verse tell us about mankind?
Yeah. And again, not a right way or a wrong way.
But that's what
for me. And with these books comes a whole sheet that breaks it all down for you. So you don't have to be writing a million things. It breaks it all down, like for what each section. But for me, the view of God was putting yourself kind of in, like, God being the bird's eye. So like, how does God, what would he say about this verse from his word, you know? And then, you know, taking that into consideration, what would we say about it? You know, and when we think, like, we go to church and we're on our phone, or we're checking a box, or we just don't feel like it. Well, you know what? God felt like it. And God felt like being intimately involved with us from the moment, and had a specific purpose for our life. And you start to get that, and then you think, okay, like, I owe it to him. Like your whole mindset changes of, you know, like, I mean, God, what is my purpose? What do you want from me? And I need to seek after that and be close to you so that I know. So then there's a reflection, and I'm literally reading to you. I don't really share this with people because I think that you should be free to write whatever it is that you want to write. But my reflection and application part was this, and I think that this will speak to girls, and that is, stop comparing yourself to others. God never meant for us to compare each other with each other. We're the body of Christ, and we all have different roles. So celebrate it. Be thankful for who we are and who we are not. You know, if I am supposed to be exactly like Stephanie, that doesn't make any sense. And yet, as girls, we tend to compare ourselves, going, oh man, if my hair was only like that, or if I only looked like that, or, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, I'm so ugly. You know, who says you're ugly? Who says she's pretty? I mean, I always say that, you know, when we get to heaven, the glorified body is going to look just like this.
That's awesome.
So all you that think I'm large boned with a good personality, wait till we get to heaven and you look just like that. We don't know what it's going to be like, but we have to stop comparing.
Can I say something?
Yes.
That is when we talk about, well, going through 2 Thessalonians, we talk about end times a lot. And one of the biggest questions that some of the girls have had about heaven is, what are our bodies going to look like? And I'm like, I don't know, but here's the answer. Just kidding.
And you know, I told my girls, I said, hey, do you guys know what the glorified body is going to look like? And they're like, no. And I was like, right here, ladies. And then they're like, who knows? Listen, in ancient, like, Greek times, you know, if you were fat, that was a sign of wealth, and beauty.
Fat and pale.
Right. Yeah. You know, I mean, you
didn't work in the fields. You were inside, so that was a sign of wealth.
No. So, I mean, like, you know, why do chunky thighs have to only be cute on babies?
The moral of the story is
that's how God made me. And we're not going to compare. So don't compare yourself. Seriously. So then there's a prayer, and this is like literally whatever it is. And my prayer says, dear God, help me to be thankful for exactly how you made me. My strengths and my weaknesses are perfect when I'm working within them to further the kingdom. Thank you for making me in your image, and help me not to forget it.
That's awesome.
So by the end, you take a verse that you've probably heard many times, you break that down. A different translation may speak to you differently, whether it's super simple or if it's, you know, really, you know, like King Jamesy. And then also putting yourself into that time period, like, what was the context? Who was he writing to? How was he doing? And it's amazing as you work through this process. And for me, it usually takes about an hour.
Okay.
So,
and it's just 1 to 2 verses?
I just do one. Yeah.
Okay.
And so as I've gone on to different verses, and then there's other places like you can journal and you can talk about it. Like this is April 8th and 9th, because for whatever reason, I didn't have the time to spend, and it's okay. You're not a failure for not being able to get a whole verse.
Yeah.
And you may not have an hour. Maybe you split this up so you get the verse down, you define all the terms and find out the context. And then the next day you do the other things. Yeah. So we're never a failure if we're making progress. And for me, I was like, I don't wake up, there was all kinds of excuses. I don't like to read. I don't do that, and now I literally will go and I'm like, oh gosh, I got to stop.
Wow. That's cool.
So, but for me, it's a matter of the only time that I can control is the morning.
Yeah.
So I can't control the evening. I may have to show property. I may have maybe family dinner. I maybe have a late appointment or something like that. But nobody's calling me at 6 a.m.
Right. That's right.
To do that. So it's like for me, structure wise, to get up and just do it very first thing. And then I feel like I've really accomplished something and I'm, and I start my day.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
I basically took away 7 steps, and I know that we have a lot of girls that like write down everything. So let's just do a quick recap. That way they make sure they felt like they got everything, and then you correct if I say misspeak or something. Where's the buzzer? We need to. So the first part is like the definitions.
Yes.
So looking through the verse and highlighting words that you want to look into. Second, getting the context. And let's say that a girl doesn't necessarily have a study Bible that has the resources that yours have. What are some other places that they could go to get?
I mean, you can Google anything now.
Yeah.
So you could literally on your phone, you could say, hey, Siri, what is the context of Psalms? Who wrote it?
Okay.
I think we're spoiled in that because we do have a lot of resources. So I think as you develop this Bible study time, you'll appreciate the study part of it. You'll appreciate having a few more tools in your toolbox to be able to get it. But don't feel bad about just Googling it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Then step 3, we look at different translations to help us kind of get a more rounded view. Step 4, we look at cross references. So we can find those, like you said, Google, or in our Bibles, potentially go to other passages that are related or connected.
Yeah.
Step 5 is that like view of man and view of God. So asking us, what does this verse tell us about God? What does this verse tell us about man? Then step 6 is that reflection and application. So how do I need to live based on the truths in this verse?
Right.
And then step 7, finishing it out, talking to the Lord about what you learned and asking him to help you apply.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like my application and my prayer kind of become the same thing.
Yeah.
But like on this, I just turned the page, and for my view of God, it says, it's almost like I'm first person of God.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I just put, I have laid out the best for your life. If you will stay in my presence, you will experience the fullness of joy that can only be found in me. And that is not in me, but in him.
Right.
So, but that view of God is like, what is he saying to you?
Okay, sweet. Very cool. Well, I'm excited to put this in. I've never heard this before, honestly. I've never used this method. And so I'm actually really excited. I think it's cool that it's something where you can get the extra resources and have the layout, but you could also very easily do it with without having to purchase the book or whatever. And so it makes it super easy.
I mean, I think we like this little format, we like the cute, whatever. And it but again, you don't have to do that.
Cool.
I think this just kind of gives you that framework to do it. But I think there has never been a verse that I've done that I got to the end and I was like, okay, didn't really learn that much. Then there's other verses that I've done and I got to the reflection that I was like, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, I'm not really understanding this. There's one about self-control being like, and the cross reference was like city walls. And I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, so like when you lose self-control, it's like the city walls are caved in.
Wow, that's cool.
It makes you susceptible to the enemy. And I was like, whoa, mind blown.
That's really cool.
But I would have just read it and been like, whatever. But it wasn't until I got to the cross reference that I saw that.
Okay, that's cool. Sweet. Well, thanks for teaching it to us. I'm excited.
I think
such a blessing.
Yeah, I think we'll, obviously we're about to introduce like what is the mentorship challenge, and I think that in the Bible study that the girls will be doing, this is a perfect way for them personally to dig deeper. And so on that note, Liz, tell us really quick about what is this challenge? How do they complete it? And like, what is the Bible study that we're going to be doing?
So this will be a time where in just a little bit, when you meet your mentee or your mentor, you're going to take time with them to go through a study. And as you're growing closer together, you as a mentor, you're going to be able to walk through this with your mentee. And we looked through something, trying to find the best possible thing. And we were on the YouVersion app, and we found this plan. It's called Faith Foundations, and it's 4 weeks. And so you'll have a month to complete it. And it basically walks you through some of those foundational things in your faith. Just because you've been a Christian for 6, 7, 8 years doesn't mean it's not good to be reminded of these things, that this is why, the reason why you even chose this mentorship challenge, or why you're choosing to invest something into this mentee. So Steph is going to drop the link into the chat, and it's really cool because it's something that we all get to complete together. We're all going to be a part of this plan, but you specifically with your mentee, what the plan is to meet once a week, whether it be through FaceTime or virtually, or before church one day for 30 minutes, or you are able to go and take them out to coffee or go get dinner and able to discuss what both of you have learned from what you've studied on your own, and how best you can go about life with this truth. And so it's going to give you some scripture. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to implement the method that Miss Stacy just taught us about, because it's going to give you a few verses and what you could glean from this method truly.
Yeah.
And so
the link that we're going to send is like you can accept, and we're all going to be part of like a team kind of thing on there. I don't know how else to say it. So like whenever you click the link, it will let you join the Bible study, and then we'll be able to see like who all is on there, who all, completed their, Bible study or whatever. And so that's the link that we're sending right now. If it doesn't work, someone let me know. But you should be able to click that, join. Then again, we'll all be part of that. So when you click it, you should see like Liz and I have already joined it. So let me know again if that doesn't work. But yeah, so like Liz said, in order to complete this, it's pretty much meeting once a week, whether that's virtually or in person, and then talking through what you guys have learned and doing the Bible study together. So on that note, we are going to actually to kind of round out everything, we're going to do one more session like this on a YouTube live at the end of the Bible study. So to kind of close out the mentorship challenge as far as it being like officially closed out. So that date is going to be on May 18th. In exactly a month from now, it's Mother's Day. So we're not going to do it on Mother's Day, but we'll do it that week after, May 18th at 5 p.m. So we'll let you guys know later, but that's when we'll come back together and see, okay, who completed it. And there might be something for those of you guys who complete it. And the whole goal of this is to lay a foundation so that you can continue doing this, right? I say close out the mentorship challenge, but really it's just, we want you guys to continue doing this even after the challenge is officially over. Okay, let's see. Did it freeze for everyone else, or is it just me? It worked for me. Okay. Give it another second and see if it doesn't work. If it doesn't, okay, cool. She said it's good now. So that's the Bible study. Now, to find out who your mentor or your mentee is, I want to give a couple disclaimers first, because this is a little bit, this is a challenge, okay? Because at the girls' conference, right, we had 50 girls sign up to be either a mentor or a mentee. And then we went through and we tried to pair people the best that we could. But here's the thing. One, a couple of you guys are going to have 2 people that you are mentoring, okay? Because we had more mentees than we had mentors. The other disclaimer, and please listen, because when you guys go to this link, I just need you to know all this before you click on your name and everything. The other disclaimer is some of you are a mentor and you are a mentee. So like for some of the girls who are kind of like in that in-between age, you've got someone who's going to be, you'll be meeting with as your mentor, and then you'll also be meeting with someone as your mentee. So keep that in mind. I meant to write all these down so I wouldn't forget. Oh, the reality is that not every girl who we have set up in this mentorship challenge is going to follow through with the mentorship challenge. And that's okay. That's not a big deal. I just need you to text me if that becomes an issue, and we will make sure to get you paired with someone else. Okay. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, I'm going to send you the link. The way that the link works is when you click it, you will search for your name. And when you click your name, and please only click your name just for privacy's sake. When you click your name, you'll see who you're paired with, and you'll have directions for moving forward and introducing yourself to them and everything like that. So does anyone have any questions before I send the coveted link to who it's going to be?
What if I don't like my person?
Okay, good question. So if there is
there's bigger issue.
Maybe you shouldn't be a mentor. Okay, hold on, I got it.
I could answer my own question.
Okay, you answer it while I'm trying to get this.
So here's the deal. I think Stephanie's worked very hard, and she's painstakingly tried to see what's best. But there may be a personality conflict. But you know what? When there is, or if there is, and maybe there's not, but if there is, then I would say, ask God what he's trying to teach you. Don't be so quick to be like, oh, this is not one of my people, because you have no idea how things could expand for you. And, sometimes, when you have a bad boss, you learn more from a bad boss than you do a good boss.
So true.
And so don't be so quick to write that person off. But really just dig in, and you have no idea by the, week 2, 3, you may be like, oh my gosh, this is
so
the most
true.
unlikely pair, but I am so excited. I know, like when I started with the 11th grade girls this year.
Oh no!
No, I'm going to tell you, I really struggled, not for them, but just took a while to open up. And now I can't imagine like I hope I get them next year.
That's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes a minute, and first impression, they might be nervous. And so you're like, oh my gosh, they don't say anything, but maybe they're just as nervous as you are. So give it some time.
Yep. All right. The link is about to go. Good question. Thank you for answering your question.
You're welcome. Good question, Stacey. Good job. You're welcome. No problem.
When you go to the link, mentors, take it as your responsibility to follow those instructions and to reach out to me, which this will be in the instructions. But if you need that girl's number or anything, just reach out to me. But mentors, you take on that role as far as like reaching out to your mentee, and then we should be good to go. So there's the link. You guys go to it, find out, and then, like I said, reach out to any of us with any questions. Well, probably not Mistake. She's probably not going to know the answer, but as far as who you're paired with, and then we will go from there. So hopefully you guys are excited. We're excited. We can't wait to hear how it goes for y'all. Keep us posted throughout the next couple of weeks. Tell us, hey, this happened with my mentor, my mentee, and it was really enjoyable, or I learned this or whatever. So
send us pictures of y'all meeting, or
that would be
whatever.
Awesome. Yep.
We'd love to see it.
This could be life-changing, ladies.
Seriously.
It really could.
Seriously.
It could be something that goes on and on and on, and to be a part of each other's spiritual journey. And I think sometimes, the mentor can learn as much as the mentee.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
Because, we all have something. Just like our verse said,
That's
we all have something special that God has given us, and we're not going to be like them, exactly like them.
Yep. So cool. And last thing, if your name is not on there and you want to be part of it, again, just reach out. So we'll be able to help you there if it's not on there. All right, cool. Well, ladies, thanks for joining. I'm excited to hear how everything goes, and we'll see you at the end of the challenge and see who can complete it. Bye, guys.
Bye.